One, classic charm and tradition run deep in the Belmond Train collection. Today, we are joined by Kate Dirks, Director of Sales, to explore one of our favorites, bucket trip lists for our clients on the Royal Scotsman. Kate, thanks for joining us. One of the special ways to see the rolling hills, icy mountain peaks, and charming towns of Scotland is by boarding the Royal Scotsman. Can you tell us a little bit about what people are going to see and experience on the journey?
Of course, and firstly, thank you very much for letting me join you today to talk about the Royal Scotsman. I think this is probably a good place to start. This is a view of the Torridon mountain range, just one of the vistas that you're likely to see on any of our journeys. The scenery changes all the time, but you are likely to see not only this mountain range, but even on our 3-night journey, you're going to get the most amazing view of Ben Nevis if the skies are blue and clear. You'll see lochs clearly, you'll see islands. Even on one of our journeys, you can actually see the Coolin Mountains on the Isle of Skye from the train. So the scenery is ever changing. You also pass by gorgeous little towns and travel over viaducts, and perhaps the most famous one of all, the Glenfinnan Viaduct, which was made famous in the Harry Potter films. So it's a constantly ever-changing scenery, picture postcard scenery right before your eyes, changing all the time.
And then you mentioned there's you guys have a few different journeys that people can enjoy. Some are maybe 3 or 4 or 5 nights. Can you tell us a little bit about the differences between the different journeys?
Yeah, of course, of course. So on the screen now, you'll just see a summary of the different routes that we offer. The shortest being 2 nights and the longest being 7 nights, which is actually a combination of our 3-night journey, which is the Western Scenic Wonders, and our 4-night journey, Scotland's Classic Splendours. Each of the journeys is designed to give you opportunities to take in, obviously, the incredible scenery that Scotland and the Highlands of Scotland particularly are so well known for. But all of the journeys, depending on the time that you have, even the 2-night journey, as its name suggests, gives you that little taster of the Highland scenery, a visit to a wonderful family-owned private estate where you can try your hand at fly fishing or clay pigeon shooting, those real sort of country pursuits. And they each differ in their own way. The Western Scenic Wonders takes you along the west coast, as the name suggests. Scotland's Classic Splendours includes some of the real sort of highlights and perhaps the most well-known places and those sort of cultural icons such as Plockton and the Kyle of Lochalsh, which is incredibly well photographed, the Island Donan Castle, for example. So again, each of these itineraries varies greatly, and it really depends on the duration that you have at the time you have available.
So it sounds like it's something that people can go, experience one of them. They're going to love it, the 3-night journey, and then you go back and do the other 4-night journey if you can't combine them in one shot, because they're just
exactly. No, you're absolutely right. You can you could mix and match. You may choose to do, and we actually do have a number of repeat clients that perhaps one year might do the 4-night and they've enjoyed it so much that they're going to come back the following year to do the Western Scenic Wonders. Scotland has so much to offer, and as I say, each of these journeys showcases something different and unique about the Scottish Highlands.
And even the time of year is going to be a little bit different, right? If you go, early, late spring, or early summer, or late spring, early summer, and you go back in the fall, you're going to see something completely different, I would imagine.
Absolutely. The start of the season, it's not uncommon to see those snow-capped mountain ranges, particularly if it's been a particularly cold winter and into spring. So you're right, it's changing all the time. But there's also, a number of different festivals across all of Scotland throughout the year. Probably one of the most famous would be the Edinburgh Tattoo, for example, which takes place in August. So again, it's always fun to be able to combine a trip on the Royal Scotsman with something that's happening in Scotland, in any part of Scotland, or in Edinburgh, such as the Tattoo, for example.
Gotcha. And I think, I think going specifically back into the train, it's such a luxurious experience. And it just starts with this just unbelievable warm welcome as you board the train. Tell us a little bit about the welcome, what people can experience for the cabins, and maybe some of that service when you're on the journey.
Yeah, of course. So the whole Royal Scotsman experience starts at the famous Balmoral Hotel in Edinburgh, again, a landmark in itself, really. So check-in is at the Balmoral, and from Balmoral, it's just a few steps down to Waverley Station in Edinburgh, where the gleaming, deep burgundy carriages of the Royal Scotsman are waiting to welcome guests on board. There's something really quite magical about hearing the sound of a Scottish piper who is there to greet passengers as they come down onto platform 2, and you literally follow this piper towards the open doors of Royal Scotsman. You can see there in the background a passenger boarding, and the Scotsman is there, and there's something, I mean, it's magical. Goosebumps sort of, come over you. It's really something very, very special. Once on board, you're shown to your cabin, and then everyone congregates in the observation car for a champagne reception. And off the train goes to the sound of a piper on the platform, and lots of, sort of passengers going about their daily life in Edinburgh and waving as the train departs Edinburgh Station.
Well, so I think you said like the goosebump experience. I think we've had clients who have never traveled on train. They join you in Edinburgh and they just become huge train fans, and all of a sudden they just go into the other experiences that you have in your collection or other trains. So it really is that experience that you talk about that just brings people in, and then just when you become that fan, you're just like, all right, now I got to do it again in another place. So it's just it really is an amazing experience that people have there.
Absolutely. And I mentioned, that sort of the first time on board where everybody congregates in the observation lounge for a champagne reception as the train departs. And this, for example, is just one of the views from the observation lounge. This is Glenfinnan Viaduct, which I mentioned earlier, which it's always been a very famous viaduct, but let's just say it's perhaps become even more famous as it's highly featured in the Harry Potter series. But just to give you a little bit of an indication of what you can expect on board in terms of your accommodation, the train has a maximum occupancy of 40 guests. And we have a number of twin bed cabins, and we also have a few double bed cabins too, as well as singles. All of the cabins are en suite. They're decorated very much in the style of a sort of Edwardian country house. And I think that's really the way to kind of get across the atmosphere on board. It's an intimate atmosphere. Obviously 40 guests, it's not that many. And it very much feels like you're on or staying in a small country house, boutique guest house, and you're all there together to celebrate something or celebrate a birthday or an anniversary. And there's this real camaraderie, there's a real sociable spirit on board the train too. Yeah. So the cabins are all very well appointed. You have all of your home comforts, and you very much are treated as if you are staying in a small country guest house on the rails, and the scenery is coming to you. You're not having to head out there to find it. It's ever changing. You've got picture postcard windows where you can really admire those views. This is the observation car though.
Yeah, and again, this is where most of your a lot of the day during the day people are going to be in the observation car, and besides the viewing, because I think that's what's amazing. It's only 40 people. It's super exclusive. You have this beautiful observation car, but people are just transfixed with the views. But besides the views, there's some. Tell us a little bit about the daily life on the train as well, because I believe there's different experiences while you're on the train, going from place to place as well. Correct?
So absolutely. So all of the itineraries will include experiences and time off the train. Right. So usually on average, you will have around 2 half-day excursions a day. So you'll, even on the 2-night journey, you'll have your 1 full day with 2 different experiences that day, possibly even 3. And the range of experiences is really quite incredible. We always try and include something for everyone. And I think, over the years, we've adapted our itineraries as well to take in the fact that our audience is getting slightly younger. We do have families on board. We have honeymooners. We have people wanting to be a little bit more active. So, for example, a number of different things that you could do off the train. If I focus on just a couple of highlights, maybe, of some of the itineraries. For example, on the Western Scenic Wonders, which is our 3-night journey, we actually offer an incredible trek at Glen Nevis. And on day 2, as I mentioned earlier, with clear skies, you can see the most incredible view of Ben Nevis from the train. So, on the Western Scenic Wonders, you're really getting out and about into this stunning countryside. You also can visit Mount Stuart, which is the most incredible house and gardens. On the 4-night journey, for example, you've got the town of Plockton that you can visit. You've got visit to the Rothy-Mercus estate, which is a fantastic private-owned estate where you get to meet the owners, you get to meet the countess, you get to go behind the scenes, you get to try your hands at a number of different activities. You could either do an estate walk with the estate manager. You might want to try your hand at fly fishing or clay pigeon shooting, which is great fun. And these are really, traditional sort of pursuits, not just in Scotland, but in the UK. And it's wonderful to have that opportunity to try something that perhaps ordinarily you might not put yourself out to do. And so you have this opportunity.
And we see kind of like, what's great about all these active adventures is, like you mentioned, it's really pulling, a brand new set of clients toward you, because we are seeing much, a younger set going. We grew up, in casual work experiences, and dressing down, and people just want to be able to enjoy something that's, classic and a little bit more formal. And they go into this train, be able to experience, maybe dressing up at night and what have you, and then going out the next day and really being active is just, what a wonderful combination that you guys, what a great combination of experiences that you've been able to create. And then also,
absolutely.
And it keeps going on to Belmond and the train. And the food on the train is fantastic. Tell us a little bit about those experiences at night as well, and some of those options that people can experience during the day.
Well, obviously during the day you're out and about, you're exploring. You might have played a round of golf, you might have been really active, you might have visited a castle, you might have shot a few clays, in clay pigeon shooting. So you've had this really active day, and you come back, we always have, on all of our itineraries, we will always have one informal evening and alternated with a formal evening, which gives you the chance to dress up if you wish to. We would suggest and really recommend and can help arrange this, that gentlemen don a kilt. It's not uncommon to get dressed up in your kilt for an evening. But really, I think it's sometimes easy to forget that you're on a train when you look at the standard and range of this beautiful, locally sourced cuisine that's coming out of a very small kitchen. It really is exquisite. It's restaurant dining. We cater, obviously, for all dietary requirements. And lunch is always, you're always back on board for a lovely lunch. You're always then enjoying a 3-course evening meal. You're never going to go hungry. All the food is included. You've also got an afternoon tea on board as well. And I think it's worth pointing out that all of your meals, all of your beverages are included on board. Yeah. And we have a fantastic team. We have a wonderful whiskey connoisseur on board as well. There's nothing she doesn't know about whiskey. I mean, we have 60 different whiskies on board, and she can tell you something about each and every one of them. And, it's good going if you get to try all 60 on a journey. You may, if you can do it, great.
Yeah. You won't
but
be getting off board very often then.
no, maybe not, maybe not. But certainly, I think, you know, one thing that I find quite interesting is you often have quite a few people that might board the train and say, oh, well, I'm not, you know, I'm not really a whiskey drinker. And I can assure you by the end of it, she'll have found a whiskey that you'll like, because we've got 60, and obviously there's far more than that exist. But she'll be able to find a whiskey that suits your palate and your taste.
You know, it's funny, a question that that people always ask is, you know, is the train moving mostly at night? I mean, obviously during the day because there's a lot of vistas, but tell us a bit about this. Does a train move at night sometimes to get you to the next location, or is it mostly during the day and you're stationary at night? Tell us a bit about how the train moves.
Yeah, of course. So you're absolutely correct. The journey and the traveling is maximized to take advantage of daylight and the scenery. So at night, we always stable. We don't travel at night. And what's so lovely is that on many occasions, you'll have the opportunity in the morning, for example, perhaps before breakfast, you might wish to head out for a short walk. I mean, one example of that is, you know, on the 2-night journey, the Taste of Highlands, and also on the 4-night journey, we stable on one night at the bridge of the Boat of Garton, which is a gorgeous little train station. That's actually a pub just right next to it, and also a golf course as well. You know, we haven't really talked about golf, but obviously there's a huge amount of opportunities to play golf with us whilst on board, which we can help arrange. But what's so lovely about the Boat of Garton station is that we're there overnight, we stable overnight, we don't move. So you can always be assured of a really good, comfortable night's sleep, particularly if you've made your way through some of the whiskies too. But the next morning, literally, you know, walk off the train, head off for a lovely walk. There's a beautiful trek actually very close to the Boat of Garton station. And then you can be back in time for a late breakfast. So the train really takes advantage of the scenery, and also then takes advantage of being able to make sure that all of our guests, after all that wonderful sort of Scottish air, fresh air and scenery and being out and about, that yeah, you're assured a very good night's sleep.
There's all kinds of little experiences where, like you're showing here, maybe some local music will come on the train. Is this the pub next to the train station, or is this somebody who comes on board and does a little entertainment at night, or is entertainment off the train?
Well, actually, this is on board the train. So gotcha. You mentioned earlier, you know, sort of about the dining and some of the evening activities. So of an evening, we always have some form of entertainment. On the left, you can see here the storyteller, the famous charismatic storyteller who comes on board for an after dinner, regaling Scottish folklore or Scottish tales. And he's incredibly entertaining, but he's also, he really captures your imagination too. He sort of really brings Scottish history and folklore to life. Obviously, it wouldn't be Scotland without a wonderful Scottish jig and a Scottish dance. And I would say this is one of my favourite experiences from my time on board Royal Scotsman. One
gotcha.
night during a trip, or even maybe 2 nights, there will always be the opportunity, and if the weather's good, we'll spill out onto the platform. This is another advantage of stabling at night. We'll spill out onto the platform. You've got a lovely live traditional Scottish band playing a traditional Scottish jig, and this is a ceilidh. And a ceilidh doesn't require any dancing skill whatsoever. You can have 2 left feet. It really doesn't matter. But you step out onto the platform and everyone's copying one another, and it's just a group dance. And it's just, it's infectious. I defy anyone not to be tapping their feet and wanting to get up and give it a go. As I say, you don't have to be a skilled dancer to be able to enjoy a ceilidh. It's great fun. It really brings everybody together.
And I think the one, you know, I think the one, or maybe the last thing maybe we can touch upon is, you do have a spa experience on the train as well.
We do indeed. We do indeed. Yes, we have 2 spa cabins. So spa treatments are not included in the price, but it's an optional experience. But we have a full service spa. The therapists are fantastic. I think it involves a lot of skill to be able to do either a pedicure or a manicure. The train is moving, but they can do it. It surprises me every time, but it just shows you how skilled they are. There's also something very relaxing and soporific about having a massage on a moving train.
Oh, yeah.
So no, it's bliss. It's pure bliss. And even on a 2-night or a 3-night journey, if you have, if you're really keen to have a treatment, then we will, once you board the train at the beginning of the trip, we will go through the schedule with you and give you perhaps suggested times when we can fit in a treatment for you. But we always make sure that there's an opportunity for that.
And again, I mean, I think, it's, the experience on the journey is as active or as passive as you'd like. You're showing here some of the, like we talked about a little bit about some of the experiences that people can have, whether it's hiking or clay shooting. It's just a nice way to end the day or right before dinner to go and have a nice luxurious spa experience as well on the train. So that's just a wonderful.
Absolutely.
Well, Kate, I really appreciate your time. We love working with you guys. We love being part of Belmond Bellini, which gives us a few extra perks for our clients when they board the train. I think that this is one of those, really special experiences that are on people's minds, once they experience it, they really go back to go back to the train, or sometimes add a different experience in one of your other journeys, whether it's in the other part of the continental Europe. So we appreciate your time, and we look forward to speaking with you soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you.